Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back. It's Travis here with JT Wealth. In today's video, we're going to talk all about millionaires. Now, I know that term seems a little bit mythical, right? But millionaires, they're not dragons or unicorns. It's a number that exists in most people's mind as a goal, and a long-term goal at that, and that's fine. But did you know that this year alone, the number of people with $1 million in their retirement account literally doubled? And there is no reason at all why you can't be next. So in today's video, we're going to look at some statistics around millionaires to demystify the term and what works and what doesn't work for the people involved in growing their account to $1 million. So let's get into it. All right, welcome back everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you find something of value in today's video and it motivates you to chase your dream of becoming a millionaire if you're not already. And if you just take 2 seconds out of your day, smash that like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Now, it's probably not uncommon for you to hear somebody say that all they really want in life is to have $1 million, as though that were some magical number that would just make everything okay. And there is no doubt that that is an absolutely perfect goal and a fantastic number to strive towards. However, I think when most people say they want $1 million, they never actually believe that they're going to get there. More often than not, people are willing to work 20, 30, even 40 years towards attaining a theoretical retirement and then possibly getting Social Security at some point, but they never really understand that in that time frame, they could have accumulated more than $1 million in their investments. And like I said in the intro, this year alone, the amount of retirement accounts over $1 million has literally doubled. So the difference between your friends with a dream of having $1 million and the people who just achieved that dream is really just education and putting that education to work for you. And as you probably already know from seeing other videos of mine, I am a huge fan of the FIRE movement. And the first part of FIRE is financial independence. And to me, that means being independent of anybody else when it comes to your financial situation, which means being independent of the government and programs like Social Security. Check this out. Barron's reported earlier today on September 1st that Social Security is set to run out of money sooner than expected. And thanks to the impact of the recent pandemic, the Social Security Trust Fund is set to run out of money by 2034. And that's according to the annual government's report published on Tuesday. That's 1 year sooner than was expected last year. Now, depending on when you were born, the average age for most people watching this video before they can claim full Social Security is probably 67. But think about this. Higher inflation this year is going to significantly boost the payout of Social Security next year, and the trustees estimate that Social Security beneficiaries could see nearly a 6% increase in their cost of living, and the highest annual benefit increase since 2008. That cost of living adjustment was only 1.3% in 2021 and 1.6% in 2020. Now, the Social Security Fund is expected to pay out more benefits than it receives in revenue for 2021. And the fund had more revenue than costs in at least the past 5 years. Moreover, Social Security's disability program is estimated to run out in 2057, which is 8 years earlier than last year's projection, although almost 20 years beyond that of regular Social Security. Bottom line, I point out that information because a lot of folks have started to realize that you can't count on anybody except yourself to set you and your family up for success in the future. That includes programs like Social Security. A lot of people for a very long time have talked about how Social Security is going to run out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. The government seems to have no problem printing more and more money, but it's not something I would count on. Nor will Social Security ever make you a millionaire. But there are certain things you can do today to set yourself up to become a millionaire. And this article off the Motley Fool talks about the number of retirement plan millionaires doubling or reaching an all-time high, as it were, in the last year. And more people than ever have at least $1 million in either an IRA or a 401k, all right? And now many people have the goal of retiring with $1 million or more, and given the expense seniors tend to face, that's not a silly goal to set. It's also by no means impossible. So case in point, the number of Fidelity retirement plans with a balance of $1 million or more has reached an all-time high. Specifically, there were 365,000 401k plans with more than $1 million in it during just the first quarter of 2021. And IRAs with $1 million or more increased to 307,600, also a new record. All told, the number of retirement plans with $1 million or more has more than doubled from 1 year ago. And that's pretty impressive given the hit the stock market took early on in the pandemic, and also given the fact that many people had to either tap into their retirement savings early to cope with the coronavirus outbreak, or put their contributions on pause to focus on near-term needs like emergency savings. And obviously, the S&P 500 and the market as a whole has been on an absolute tear, and that's helped a lot of people propel their average retirement account balances to record levels, surpassing even the previous high reached right before the pandemic, and notably higher than a decade ago in 2011. And I do think that the pandemic caused a lot of people to effectively reevaluate their financial situation in terms of possibly losing their job or setting themselves up for financial success in the future. And that did in fact lead to a lot more investments into the stock market, places like real estate, etc., causing a lot of people to get a lot more financially secure because they got a lot more financial education and started applying that to their daily lives. But this did also create an even deeper divide in the financial inequity in this country. That inequity, fueled by the stock market's performance, has been a hallmark of the pandemic recovery, marked by job loss for those at the bottom and soaring wealth for those at the top. This so-called K-shaped recovery has split the nation nearly in half, with the wealthiest Americans faring even better than before, while millions more have faced setbacks. Now, to boost your bottom line, McDonald, one of the analysts involved in this article, recommends contributing at least enough to take full advantage of your employer match and opting into an auto escalation feature if your company offers it, boosting automatically your savings rate by 1 to 2% each year. Now, I'm going to show you guys some millionaire statistics that'll really set this home for you, but basically what's happening here is you're noticing that the people who are invested, the people who are letting money work for them, are continuing to grow their wealth. Whereas everybody else who's counting on a job and counting on active income, or how much hours can I trade for how much dollars, seem to find themselves in a worse and worse situation. Okay, so let's look at some millionaire statistics that you can use to demystify the term millionaire in your head, and then also understand which methods they're using to create their wealth so you can do the same. All right, and I got this information from Spend Me Not, and it says 28 millionaire statistics. What percentage of Americans are millionaires? Now, don't worry, we're not going to go through all 28. I just pulled the ones that I felt were most useful and most important for you guys, because otherwise this video would get really long. All right, so check out some of these numbers, guys. From 2019 to 2020, the U.S. added 2,251,000 new millionaires. And the total number of millionaires in the US when this article was written was 20.27 million. More than 10% of the US millionaires were created from 2019 to 2020. Based on the population of the US, that means about 8% of the US population is a millionaire. So let's stop chasing that 1% goal and start chasing the 8% goal, because that's exactly where you want to be, in the comfort and happiness of millionaire status. All right, but how many of these millionaires just inherited their money from their parents? Well, the percentage of millionaires who inherited their wealth is only about 20%. The rest, 80%, are self-made, first-generation millionaires, and most have to work for their money and don't get rich once a relative dies. What that tells me is you don't have to come from wealth to create wealth. If 80% of the millionaires out there did it from scratch, so can I and so can you. So what is the average age of US millionaires? Well, according to a report about the US millionaire population by age, the average age of a US millionaire is 62 years old, and about 38% of US millionaires are over 65. Only 1% are below the age of 35. and millionaires on the West Coast are actually slightly older. So if you're worried that you haven't succeeded because you're 33 or 34 years old, even 35, and you're not a millionaire yet, don't worry about that. Less than 1% of the entire US population is a millionaire at your age. That is not the goal. The goal is just to set yourself up for financial success. And you've got plenty of time before you need to worry about reaching that millionaire status. Obviously, achieving it sooner rather than later is always better. So chase that dream as fast as you can, but don't beat yourself up when it takes a little bit longer to get there. Now, maybe you were born between 1981 and 1996 and find yourself in the millennial gap. Now, what is the data on millennial millionaires? Well, the average net worth for a millennial millionaire, and there are about 618,000 millennial millionaires in the US alone, 93% of them having a net worth ranging between $1 and $2.49 million. Now, the boomers generation was the richest generation in history, but they are leaving huge piles of wealth to their Gen X and millennial descendants. However, many of these millennials are earning good money all by themselves as well. Remember, only 20% of them actually inherited anything. So, where do millionaires invest their money? Investing in real estate is still the most popular of all millionaire investment and spending choices. Now, for over 200 years, approximately 90% of the global millionaires have been spending their fortune on real estate investments. This trend is expected to grow. And for investors, real estate offers the biggest opportunity to develop their wealth. And a good way to dip your toes into the real estate business is just to buy your first primary residence. And for the record, no, I'm not a millionaire yet, but I will be. And that is exactly the attitude you need to have every single day when approaching your investments. Now, thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. Hopefully we helped you demystify a little bit about that millionaire status and millionaire kind of just title that we put on people who we think have a lot of money. And maybe they do, but as we've seen, most of them are in their 60s and have been saving for a very long time to allow themselves the comfort that that millionaire status allows them to have. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. Until next time, bottoms up.